Thanks so much for listening. Before getting into today's episode, I just wanted to let you know that I would love to add value to you, your organization, and those you serve through speaking, training, professional development, or coaching. I've been fortunate to work with those in higher education, pre-K-12, and more recently, the corporate space. To learn more, visit my website at cjleadership.com or send me an email at chris@cjleadership.com. I can't wait to hear from you, and now on to our episode. Welcome back, friends, to the Department Chair Leadership Podcast. As always, I'm so thankful when you take time out of your busy schedule to not only help yourself as a leader, but also those you serve. I'm always excited for our guests, but today, this is really, really special. Coach Sue Enquist joins us today. You probably have heard of her. If not, you are going to want to learn more, and she's going to add value to you today. A little background is Coach Enquist most recently served as a consultant in team cohesion and individual mastery with the USA Volleyball women's national team, helping to lead them to their first ever gold medal in 2020. That would be the Tokyo Olympics, and a silver medal in the 2024 Paris Olympics. She brings over 45 years of UCLA experience as a student, coach, administrator, and now professor. She's an 11-time NCAA Softball Champion and the NCAA career leader in winning percentage. She's a 6-time Hall of Famer, a former USA Softball World Champion player, and a national team coach. In addition to her coaching success, Sue is a former professional surfer and currently owns 3 companies in the education, sports, and leadership space, while also serving on numerous nonprofit boards. So, Sue, welcome to the Department Chair Leadership Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me. It's going to be really fun to have this conversation.
Well, I appreciate it. And for our listeners, I've talked about Human X Ventures on this before. We've had Brad Black. I connected with Sue Enquist at that conference. I can't say enough about it. And look, if you are working in any field where you're an educator, you're a coach, you're a principal, you're a teacher, you're a professor, Sue has words of wisdom and a wonderful story. And so I just want to dig in, because this is going to be one of those where if you're listening to this, it better be like on the treadmill, walking the dog. Don't do it while you're driving, because you're going to want to stop this and take notes. Okay. So for your own safety, just pull over so you can get the benefit of this. So Sue, let's just get started. In addition to your wonderful bio, let's just get started, and what else would you like to share? And maybe a little bit too, I like to ask our guests about their leadership journey. So let's just start there.
Well, I think, when we talk about, we have a conversation like this, there's so many sides of the Rubik's Cube of education. So I love the idea of just dipping into a little bit at a high level on my journey, and then also to be almost opining on the journey as I share it with you. I'm a daughter of a military father. I'm very familiar with rigor, this disciplined attention to detail throughout my life. And I'm also the daughter of a nurse. My mother taught me to remain curious and to always remember that we had been afforded great access throughout our life. We never went without, and yet we also learned the value of a dollar and didn't really get anything brand new. We first had to prove we were in love with it. I love looking back at my life and how that shaped my core values. And, as we go through life, we have 2 sets of values, really. We have our core values. That is like it's our breathing kit to our North Star. But then we have to remember we're going to be a part of a team, a department, an organization, and they have a set of values. And so what we have to do is we have to navigate and marry those 2 sets of values. So for me, I was always taught, may your values always be the highest values in the room, but maybe your values aren't the highest values in the room, and we have to ascend to even higher values if you've chosen to be on a team. And that's one thing that I love to talk about is that conflict, that tension in why it's so hard to be on a team. I'm the youngest. I have an older brother, 11 months. My Irish twin taught me everything about sport. And I have a sister who has one foot in heaven. She is my inspiration around living a values-driven life. And I never planned on going to UCLA. It was by a fluke. I'm also a recipient of Title IX, our federal mandate that says boys and girls, men and women, equal access to education and activities, including sport. So that opportunity afforded me to play boys baseball. UCLA caught wind, offered me the first scholarship, went through UCLA, and literally learned the value of having structure around performance drivers and relationship drivers. You have to have both. And graduated, became an assistant co-head coach, head coach, administrator, and now I'm a professor. Don't ask me about a job interview. I never had one. So hopefully we'll have plenty of things to talk about today.
Well, that is wonderful. And one thing that I will add, because despite all of these accolades, and I mean this sincerely having met Sue, she's one of those people that's wonderful on paper and then even better in person,
Oh,
and very humble. Um, I tell people Sue has 11 titles, and I think that's one more than Coach Wooden, who you have shared as a mentor of yours, which I'm just in awe of. One of my heroes, Dr. Tom Osborne. I'm a Nebraskan. He called John Wooden a mentor as well. So that's always been just phenomenal and amazing to me. So one of the things that we've talked about before, and you talked about at Human X, and I know you continue to support that work. And so let's just dive in because we have educators. I know we have coaches. We have a lot of different people listening. But let's just really dive into the sports landscape because you have seen a lot. You've accomplished a great deal. You have spanned the globe with your expertise and your influence. But we know if we talk to coaches, we talk to teachers that maybe there might be a difference. So what is your take on the changing landscape of sports? And what is your message to the adults, especially some of us who are just old enough to remember maybe a different time with a different set of expectations and things were done differently? Maybe just share your thoughts on that and what you have found to be helpful to other leaders.
well, first of all, thank you for recognizing HumanX. It is one of the big tools in my toolkit as a consultant. I would not have been able to navigate the blueprint of how we formed that team if it hadn't been for the tools I used with HumanX. So a shout out to Brad Black and the HumanX team who does an amazing job of teaching organizations, classrooms, administrators, coaches, how to speak fluently in team culture. But I kind of represent maybe many coaches and teachers' future. I'm 68 years old. I'm in my chapter 2. Many of the listeners are still in the grind. I think we're in a renaissance. When I talk about renaissance, I'm talking about a new beginning. And anytime you're in the new beginning of anything, it's messy. So we're in the messy front end of navigating sports education. I have a tremendous amount of respect. I come from a family of teachers. My sister's a teacher. My niece is a teacher. And the changes that are going on there, and then navigating our challenges with social media, navigating a place where the student is highly affected and there's a mental fragility. And I say that not as a shame word, but as a scientific term, that they have a heightened sense of the world that we never had because we didn't have the phone in the palm of our hand. So there's wonderful benefits and burdens when you have the world in the palm of your hand. And so for me, I always want to encourage teachers, leaders, coaches. We're in the front end of this renaissance. You have this unique privilege to be able to be the person that can teach them the timeless principles, and you know what those are, great leaders out there: enthusiasm, hard work, grit, resilience, character, different character-driven processes. You need to be that one drip, drip, drip every single day is to acknowledge, I know it's going to be hard, but we're going to get 1% better today. And what I'm finding with Gen Z and now Gen A coming up, you as a leader don't have the pressure to be perfect, but you as a leader, they're expecting you to have some stability, Have some anchoring language around, we're going to be all right. Matter of fact, we're going to be great. We're going to get 1% better today. I need you to be where your feet are. Let's take a breath. Let's leave our business behind and take 45 minutes in class today to see if we can't get 1% better in English, biology, geography, whatever it may be. And keep it that simple. Because if, as teachers, leaders, and coaches, administrators, we try to take on everything, we're going to be completely overwhelmed and you won't be able to sustain a long career. So that's number one, is be that anchor of, I always say, be that engineer of belief for those students. Number two, it's just as I want to stop all of you in education and say thank you. Thank you for all the lonely work. Thank you for laying awake at night worried about that student that doesn't have access, that doesn't have privilege, that doesn't have all the auxiliary things you get if you're growing up in a community that has access. So thank you for all the extra work you're doing for all our students and all those families. And last, I believe the new currency, the new skill to acquire is this ability to be aware of where to care. This new currency, this new meaning is to be aware of where I need to care. And please don't overlook that word awareness. And then once we get that language, what do I need to do today to make sure I'm creating belief in whom? Who needs my belief? In your classroom, amongst your teachers, amongst your school, because you will be a separator and you will ascend when you can be the voice of optimism at a time that's really uncertain. So those would be some of my high level encouragements for our teachers, leaders, coaches, administrators, that we're on the front end, be the voice of optimism and engineer that belief every day to that student, knowing each one comes to the class with their own level of anxiousness. And we're trying to eliminate those words, Chris. We're trying to eliminate the words anxious, anxiety, because we want them to just think of it as energy. So we want to teach them how to focus their energy and not look at it as a shame word. Because as far as I know, no one's waking up every day, oh, I hope I feel pressure today. I hope I have anxiety today. I also want to say I acknowledge and see the people that are suffering from clinical mental health, which is completely different. I don't have aptitude to speak to that, but I do have aptitude to speak to that idea of having a mental performance toolkit as a student, as a teacher, leader, coach, administrator.
Wonderful stuff. I love that, aware of where to care. And you touched on so many great things. See, that's the part that people are going to, stop, pause, go back, listen to. But, you mentioned this just now, and I know at Human X you did. And I don't know if the word is a paradox or misconception, but you spoke about how you have worked, not only as yourself, but you have worked with world-class athletes who the things that they can do on the field, the court, etc., there are not many humans that can do that.
Yeah.
But you also said something that stuck with me this summer is, even though we watch them on TV and in the age of NIL and all of that, they are superstars. You said oftentimes, though, the greatest athletes, the most talented people, the other side of that coin is they suffer from insecurity. They suffer from anxiety, which we may look at what they can do and say, oh my gosh, how could you have a care in the world? You just won a gold medal. But yet we need to understand that they suffer from those things. And so can you speak a little bit more about that and what maybe you have learned and maybe some takeaways about how we balance those, not only those high expectations, because we want them to be elite, but at the same time realizing, especially for those that are listening that are teaching, coaching teenagers and college kids, how do we balance that? And what is your message to people to understand the duality between being elite in one thing, but yet realizing we're still human and have the everyday struggles and concerns that the next person does?
It's just such an important point. I'm going to be the person that says there's another side to the coin, as you said. And we want to get to the point where this high performing athlete and anybody that's a mom and a dad, speak to this when you see a big world championship and you see an NFL Super Bowl and you see the US Open in tennis, you see the world track and field championships. Be the parent that says, guess what? On this day, they're feeling exactly like you did yesterday before your English test. that your body, and if we could get our parents and get our performers to understand the human biology, is all that angst is your body trying to get you to go to the next level, to heighten all the faculties of your body. We need the next generation to understand their biology, that when I start to get short of breath, when I start to get a tacky throat, when my palms start to sweat, when I start to get a stomach ache, tell yourself, oh, my body's getting ready to go the next level. It's heightening, because we've got to remember the brain is in there in the black box called the skull. The brain is there to protect you and keep you safe. So it's always going to say, watch out for that. That's going to be really dangerous. Watch out that. Oh, good luck with that. Everybody's watching. Your brain is a protector. So instead of saying that's my weak voice, call it your protector voice. So on game day, biology day, I've got to run a marathon day, your protector voice comes out and talks about all those things that could go wrong. Be careful of this, be careful of that. We don't spend enough time on all the work we do Monday through Friday in our process, in our strong voice. So if you're a parent and you've got young children, get those children to start really learning their list of their strong talk track, and acknowledge and recognize when they're in their protection voice, and give that protection voice a name. Separate yourself. My name, Margaret. So when I hear Margaret, I say, Margaret, I have something to say to you. I worked extremely hard for this presentation today. I'm ready. I'm ready to meet the moment. It's going to be a great story. And I always say, if you can't think of what to say in your strong voice, just say, it's going to be a great story. You'll notice I didn't say, I'm going to win the trophy. I'm going to win the event. I just say, it's going to be a great story, because I'm going to learn, I'm going to win, or I'm going to learn. And that's how we should look at everything we do. And parents can be that storyteller, because now of social media, we're in love with champions. But now let's look at the good stuff and the hard stuff and hold them both tightly, because you can't have one without the other. And so for me, it's getting everyone to understand, let's eliminate, be fearless. Don't worry about that. It's not that big of a deal. The brain doesn't comprehend that. The brain is there to protect you. Our job, the next generation, is going to teach our next generation of performers. Remember, it doesn't matter if it's a dance recital or you're trying to win the F100s or you're going to go ahead and win a volleyball championship. Your body gets elevated. You need to learn how to decelerate and uplift the energy in your body. It's that simple. It will eventually become, I believe, a signature item in the classroom. And if you're a teacher, I teach our teachers all the time. You get class, take 30 seconds. Everybody put your feet on the floor, put your palm up in your lap, and let's go ahead and take deep breaths for 30 seconds. We're going to go ahead and let go all the noise that came before, and we're just going to be present today and try to get 1% better. All right, let's get started. 30 seconds before and after class. And that becomes part of their routine, part of their talk track. So when the stakes go up, they still know how to control their biology through their breath, and they'll find that they're able to be their best selves in those moments.
So with that, Sue, so much that I could ask here, and that I know our listeners are wanting to ask. How have you used those? Because I love athletics. I played it growing up in school, wasn't a college athlete, but I think what got me interested in leadership and teaching was being around influential coaches, influential teachers, and I love the process. And something that I have always wanted to know when I study a certainly successful coach. And I think I know part of the answer. And my phrase on this is, success ain't sexy. Because, you think, the New England Patriots of a few years ago, it must have been awesome day by day, or the Nick Sabans. Usually you find that it's more consistent than earth shattering. So what is how would you answer that? If I said, okay, and again, I preface this, what Coach Wooden had his freshmen do the first day of practice.
That's right.
Okay.
Your socks on.
Yep. So what is your response if someone would have, during the height of UCLA softball, which is probably every year you were there, if they would have said, okay, I just want the magic pill, Sue, can I follow you around for a week and I just want the good stuff? What would they have seen? And what's your message to maybe those new coaches that have all the energy in the world, or new teachers, and like, okay, just give me the recipe to be successful and win? And I know you've been asked that. What's your response?
Well, I would first say, unfortunately, there's not a pill, but there is a prescription. And the prescription lies in laying down little bricks of micro behavior every day that are relatively painless, one at a time. So if I look at my 3 hour practice and say to myself, oh my gosh, 3 hours, I'm going to be so tired, you're going to be miserable for 3 hours. But if you say, you know what, I only have to blow out the first 5 minutes, and then you finish the first five, I just have to blow out the next five. If you go in increments, number one, and you value what you do in those increments, because where champions are separated from average, they are meticulous about the boring, about the hard, about the tension, about the uncomfortableness. They're fanatical about paying attention and almost paying homage to it, being respectful. I must go through these gates to get to what we call the promised land, which is peaceful in the moment of high stress, high valued situations. But we don't use the word stress. We call game day, good old softball with our party dress on. For us, competition, remember, the Latin root of the word competition means competere, which means come together. So for us, we would stack all that hard work, that rigor, that, oh man, the tension of trying to get better, stretching ourselves Monday through Friday. So game day could be a celebration. In our program, game day was always easier than practice day when it comes to mental preparation, because on game day, they could let go, untether, and allow their body to take over because they had already put in the work Monday through Friday. Same goes for the classroom. If I'm putting in the biology studying, English studying, come game day, test day, I can love the anticipation of going in there and being my best. I may only get a C+, but I'm gonna have peace of mind if I honestly felt like I gave 100% of what I had in preparation to it.
I love that. Awesome. There isn't a pill, but there is a prescription. And I think that's applicable. You could be a new department chair, a new principal. It's day by day, isn't it? It's the habits and the little habits and the values that we show those values, we promote those values. And so thank you for sharing that. I love that. I wrote so much down there myself because it isn't. And as you said, yeah, I believe, Coach Wooden would teach them how to put their socks on. That's because right. You can't play with blisters. And to me, that's just, I enjoy studying those that do that. Or Peyton Manning, I think, if you're a football fan, he did the same drills every day that he started in college. The same fundamental drills. That why would he need that? He's on his way to the Hall of Fame, but yet every day he went through those same drills. So
yeah, and Chris, real quick, I think the challenge for teachers is there are timeless principles that they execute around the rigor in the subject matter, in the lesson plan structure that they have to go through. The added benefit and the added burden that they have is, now how am I going to make this engaging? And I just want to acknowledge to the teachers that are on the front line, the coaches that are on the front line, that extra set of creativity that you need to impart so those students are engaged. And for me, I know people are going to tell me what you did. I'm going to just tell you what I do that's working, because what I did is not relevant. But what is relevant is what's working across the country in school districts and on sports fields. Class used to be 40 minutes. You'd get up there and do your spiel and you just had to kind of sit in it. Now, classes that are high performing classes, they're like 5 or 6 blocks of teaching in a 40-minute class. Now practice isn't 2 hours with a 15-minute break in between. Now it's got 10, 12, 14 blocks of training with breathing with their breathing kit being executed between. So burst, what I call burst learning, is now the new relevant way for them to engage in the content. I wish it didn't have to be that way, but we have to acknowledge where we are and what the student needs, because after all, we're a servant to them. My job is to create the conditions for them to fall in love with the material, be able to ingest it, and then have knowledge around it, meaning I understand it, I can experience it, apply it in my daily life, gain wisdom from it, and then I become an asset to my teammates or my classmates as I go through school or seasons.
How much of your philosophy that you're sharing, because I think you've been told this, you're a teacher, right? You do all the great things. And I've always said that anyone that's a wonderful coach is a good teacher. It's one and the same. And because I have you on, you can tell I read up a lot on Coach Wooden. I believe that when he told his team, I believe in 74, he didn't say you're the last team I'm going to coach. I think he said you're the last team I'm going to teach.
Yeah.
And I believe he always considered himself that teacher that was a high school English teacher as he started. Does that resonate with you as well? And to what extent did Coach Wooden help shape that? Because as somebody who does have a doctorate in education and trains teachers, you are spot on with wonderful principles of how to teach human beings. It doesn't mean whether if we're teaching them to add, hit a baseball, run further in track. Have you been, just maybe comment, I'm wondering to what extent you've been intentional or have been influenced by way of people who have been teachers or considered themselves teachers first?
Well, my family first is my biggest influence because my father taught me the importance of rigor. So if you're going to have an attention to detail, you're going to build a lesson plan, a practice plan that is very similar to the top teachers in the country or the world. The thing around Papa Wooden was his passion for being a teacher. He did not like to be referred to as Coach Wooden. He always wanted people to call him a teacher first because he had so much respect for the industry, and he knew his calling was around developing better humans to serve society. As you know, his background was as a teacher. He built that pyramid of success as a model for everyone to be their best. A lot of people don't know this. The pyramid was a result of all these parents coming up to him saying his or her daughter deserved an A in English. And he would say to me, Sue, simply, not everybody has the same aptitude. Some people are going to have to work harder for the same grade. And if we could get everybody to get the new blueprint of personal excellence, also known as the pyramid of success, we could give peace of mind knowing that they did their best. So when they did get a C+, they could look at their process character skills to see what they could improve versus how am I going to turn a B into an A? You don't even have to worry about that. Start worrying about where you're going to find an extra half hour a day to work on the equations around math or the sentence structure around English. So Coach Wooden was a huge influence on me, especially about how to break down your lesson plans in practice. He was very, very meticulous. All his practices were on a 3x5 card. They were broken down minute by minute. He was a firm believer in not adapting the structure. I think that would be interesting today. I think we would see a Papa Wooden whose lesson plan would look different. I think it wouldn't be 22 minutes and then a break and then 22 minutes. I don't think so. I think it would have more breaks in it because he was always listening to the groundswell of what the student needed. And that's also what made him so valuable, was his relevancy.
And that's true of any great leader and teacher, isn't it? Is that they adapt. And so when people say, well, that worked for 30 years ago, how would it work today? Well, that coach would have adapted and they probably would have been on the leading edge. So speaking about that, one of the things that you were known for, many things, and that my own students have been a benefit of, and it's pretty simple to find, I can put the link in the show notes, is you talk about the 33% rule.
Oh.
Share with us what that is and how that's helped you and how you know that helps leaders and teachers everywhere.
Well, I think first of all, people need to understand why, and the numbers are arbitrary, right? We're just trying to break down three types of people. If you're a teacher, you have passion. If you're a teacher, it's personal. And the same goes for coaching. And when it is personal, you're vulnerable. But what if I said to you, every environment you lead, every place you go, there's always going to be three types of people. There's going to be the one group, the bottom thirds, that are the documenters of hard. They are the ones that are measuring the gaps of how far everybody has to walk to get there. They're going to be measuring that it's too cloudy or it's too sunny. The bat is too heavy or it's too light. We have to do all this homework. This isn't enough homework. They are the documenters of hard. Thank you very much. We already all know that. And they are that what we call that gravitational pull of average. Because remember, every single day we go out in the general public, the GP, average is going to pull you down. Because remember, they're the largest group. Average is the largest group, so we've got to remember they're everywhere. Nothing against them. I'm not passing judgment on them. I'm just saying, don't let that get on you. The middle third is that family, that student, that athlete that is in love with you in the beginning of the year. Everybody's undefeated. Everyone's going to start. Everyone's going to be an All-American. We're going to win the title. We love the coaches. We love the parents. We love the field. We love the institution. We love the sport. And then in a few short weeks, season starts, we're 0-10. Their daughter's not playing, and all of a sudden these parents are headed to the chancellor's office to complain about player choice. And then you've got this group that blows in the wind. They blow in the wind. They're this group that starts out we're winning, and then we're losing. So they go from being, middle or top third to turning into bottom third. They blow in the wind. So you start off, you're in love, but now you're not starting. I hate the place. They blow in the wind. Middle third. And then top third, top 1%, probably listening to this, sacrificing their time to listen to us speak today. Top third, or I always say top 1%, fortunate to deal with high performers, is they go out there every single day acknowledging the tough environment, acknowledging how hard it is for students, acknowledging we have to be where our feet are, acknowledging take it 1 minute at a time and stack those minutes together, acknowledging they understand high performance is hard, and they acknowledge the benefit and the burden of being the best of the best with a zero margin for error. And if you can always remember, oh my gosh, here comes bottom third parent, I'm going to build a sphere around myself because I don't want them to ruin my joy. I acknowledge that's how they see the world. They have what we call a confirmation bias. They're only looking for gaps. They're only looking for the negative. So what we do with teams now, didn't do it back then. Now we talk about, what does bottom third sound like? What do they look like? What is middle third? We actually, as students, we have them write this down. And then we say, look at those lists. Where do you sit? And it is an aha moment for students, leaders, coaches to realize, wow, my language coming out of my mouth is pretty bottom third all the time. And so all of us have a little bit of each, but everybody has a pattern of where they sit. So one, we talk about it so you can build awareness and become that top third. And we're not saying just say, oh, you're going to be rainbows and unicorns. You're just simply going to say, yeah, I saw the lineup today too, kind of stinks. But we're going to be the best we can be in case that door cracks and I get the call to get up there and be a pinch hitter, a replacement on the mound or a pinch runner. And so to me, it's that awareness. Where do you fall? And be aware of how you formulate your thoughts that set up how you speak to people, both tone and what the content is. And then look at your micro behaviors. Are you literally showing and demonstrating and modeling that top 1% behavior? Because if you can model it and you can say it and your thoughts are all in alignment, then you've got the fluency around that high performance blueprint that you need to be the best you're capable of being every day.
And again, that is so helpful. Please, I'll put the link in here, Sue, because your speech on that, I forget the event, but it's essentially like a TED Talk on the 33% is so impactful. And before we hit record, I was sharing that resonates with current teachers, future teachers, because in every organization, you're right, there's a bottom third. It doesn't, like you said, doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean we don't serve them, that we don't love them up, and we don't care about them. But I also don't think we need to lose sleep over them, right?
Well, and even further, I want our teachers. I always do the 30-second ramp down when you're going home. Is the minute your car hits the driveway, take 30 seconds and leave the bottom third people in the car. But what do? We get in that door. Husband or wife says, "How was your day?" And who are we talking about? We're talking about the bottom thirds. Now, bottom third is at our dinner table. We're talking about bottom third at the dinner table. So I challenge our leaders, our teachers, our coaches, our administrators, challenge you when you sit down at dinner and talk about your day, talk about that one teacher, that one administrator, that one athlete or student that are getting it done every day, because it's going to set you up to sleep better when your head hits the pillow.
Oh, awesome advice. I thank you. We all needed to hear that. What a couple things here. First of all, what can you, I had more of a formalized question on this, but you know what? What can you tell us about your work with the USA women's volleyball team?
Oh,
Elite athletes. I'm a native Nebraskan, love volleyball. Side note, when we were talking after our co-presentation at Human X, me and my friends were going to go eat, and you said, "Well, I'm going to go eat with Jordan," and I was the only Nebraskan in the group, and you were referring to Jordan Larson, and so you just randomly go have dinner with who I think is probably one of the best of all time.
yes,
I would think clearly the Tom Brady of volleyball has
she
done
is.
it better and longer than anyone, and is so humble. Grew up in a town smaller than my hometown, and I only had 1,000 people. But what would you like to share with our listeners about what that is like? Because wow, I mean, elite athletes, elite talent. And yet I'm sure not everything's perfect. And I'm sure the extent to which they're successful oftentimes is just as much as their cohesion and core values as it is their percentage, right? Their hitting percentage and all that. What can you share with us?
Well, I think what resonates the most, it was a transformative experience for me. As you know, Chris, I usually come in, I'm more like a fixer. So I'll come in, I'll audit the environment, give recommendations, set them on their way, and then keep an eye on them. And then I'm gone, right? And it wasn't that way with USA Volleyball. And so for me, it was transformative in the sense that I wanted to completely change my work environment to be able to serve them because of how much I enjoyed being around the coaching staff and those women. And I think what I want to share, and I know exactly what I can share and what I don't want to share regarding confidentiality, because I speak to them, keep in touch with them to this day, is people don't, more so now, but people didn't realize in the sport of volleyball, at the time we had no pro volleyball. So these women would be gone 9 months out of the year playing all over the world in these countries that volleyball is really big. I mean, they're playing in front of 10, 15, 20,000 fans during the week in these pro seasons. But they lose a lot. And I think that's what I want to share with you. They lose a lot of their life. As they told me, Sue, we miss funerals, we miss weddings, we miss baby showers, high school reunions. And now, as our country gets to celebrate an explosion of pro volleyball, we've got League One volleyball, which is a beautiful model around youth gravitating all the way up to pro. We have the Pro Volleyball Federation that has just got unbelievable talent. And we have Athletes Unlimited, all participating in professional volleyball. I get so excited because our women now get to stay home for the first time in their 15, 20-year volleyball career, which is powerful. The other thing I want them to know when you looked at those teams in 20 and 24, and this doesn't get covered enough, the quality of individual I had a chance to be around was unmatched. I had never dealt with a group of people that had so much integrity and so much unselfishness and willingness to put the team first. And I say this often, I didn't do a lot. I shined a light on what they were, and then I helped them just get organized around their standards, their operating procedures, fine tune their failure recovery mechanisms. They already had everything inside them. There wasn't a lot of teaching as much as there was organizing. And the beautiful part of the story is the game paid us back, both in 2020 and 2024. A lot of people don't know this, but when you're in the Olympic family, there's no such thing as a bad colored medal. The Olympics is so highly competitive. To be able to say you were on the podium is a real accomplishment. And so winning 2 medals was really a really profound impact on me. But I do have to admit, when I first came in and, they said path to the podium, I'm like, path to the podium? That's not close enough for me. We're going to get gold, and I don't want anybody to think anything less, right? So I was barking at them about that, because I do believe that limiting beliefs are a huge barrier to people reaching their best. It takes no evidence to believe. So teachers, you don't have to measure people's potential. Counselors, you don't have to measure their potential. You just have to be a fanatic about the process and then project it's going to be a great story. You're going to do great things. Never did you say you're going to be on honor roll or you're going to be the valedictorian. But you're saying it's going to be a great story because you're paying attention to your process. And when you do that, you're going to have peace of mind, whether you have the gold medal, the jewelry, or not. Fortunately for us, back-to-back quads, we got gold and silver.
Well, and congrats to you and the team, because yes, again, growing up a Nebraska volleyball fan, this summer at Human X, I got to meet Terry Pettit, and again, that was awesome. Yeah, my non-Kansas colleagues didn't quite understand why I was so starstruck, but everyone else does. One final thing then, Sue, that I wanted to touch on, and you mentioned it just now, and I know you don't have, you could write a book on this, but talk to us. What do you want the leaders and educators listening here? What do you want them to know about failure recovery?
Yeah, this is, as you know, I'm passionate about this. I want to bring failure out of the closet. I want to shred up this cloud of fear is bad. If we understood the biology of the body, you have fear because the body is protecting you. So you can't control those thoughts that come in, but you can direct the emotions that you glean from those thoughts or that warning or that protection statement. So we want to look at fear as it's an activation to be ready. That's it. We're the ones that socialize it. Oh my gosh, I have that big speech tomorrow. I hope I'm good enough. Wait a minute. Belief never said, I hope you're good enough. Belief just says, what'd you do to get ready? Well, I did this, and this. All right, let's love the anticipation to game day, test day. And to me, starting at a young age, if we had more parents that could look at excitement and fear of failure, they hold hands, can't have one without the other. Winning and losing. You're not a loser, you lost. Mom and dad, teach them you lost the game, you got to work a little bit harder. Losing and winning, hold hands, can't have one without the other. If we could solve that, I know that our young children that become young adults, that become participants in society, would come out more balanced. And if you're balanced, you have peace of mind. If you have peace of mind, your mind can rest. If your mind can rest, your body can thrive. And to me, it's a simple message, but it's certainly hard to stay focused on knowing all the noise that we have around us.
Excellent advice. And you know what? There are adults that needed to hear that too.
Yep.
There are adults that needed to hear that. I love that. Is that excitement, is you said belief that you're ready. Love the anticipation. Excellent advice for everyone. Leaders listening now, if you're thinking, if you have a difficult conversation coming up, what Coach Enquist just said is very valuable.
And Chris, I forgot to say something. I want to acknowledge, I have such a soft spot for parents, because I think there's such a burden on parents in so many ways. And I just want to coach you right now, be a know-it-all. audit the last 7 days, and out of those 7 days, are you taking out time, what we call a zero station? Every single day, where is your zero station? Is it before the kids get up? Is it at lunch when you go off for 20 minutes to be reflective? Is it between leaving work and coming home? I want to be your coach. Coach Enquist says, make sure you have a zero station every single day. Moms, 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 moms. Thank you for the 17 hats you wear. Do you have a zero station? And those days, I know where you hide. I know where you hide. Don't have any shame when you sit in that bathroom and lock the door and they're knocking on the door. Just tell them, mommy's having a zero station. Take the time, work the breath to take care of your biology, your body, so your mind stays fresh and you can go ahead and lead the next generation. So thank you to the parents that are going above and beyond.
Yes, could not agree more. Well, Sue, here's the thing. We could go on forever, and I certainly don't want to take your time, but this has been amazing. It's meant the world to me. As I said, we were able to co-present together in Omaha about how from very different schools, I'm in a regional comprehensive, she's at UCLA, but yet we're able to teach leadership, and a lot of that we both are using Brad Black's book. So another shout out to Brad Black and Human X. But Sue, thank you so much. This has been valuable to me and our listeners. Before we sign off, just any last comments or thoughts that you would like to share?
Oh, just when your toes hit the floor every day, just take 30 seconds to be grateful for the people that got you where you are today. None of us reach the top by ourselves. And sometimes that context helps us lift into and spring into the day with a little bit more enthusiasm.
Great advice. So, Sue, thank you so much to the listeners. As always, thank you for listening, for watching. I wish you well, and we will see you next time.
Chris, thanks so much. It's so much fun being your new colleague, and keep in touch. If you need anything, I'm always in your back pocket.
Thanks, Sue. Appreciate it.